And now from the right, for one of the most basic aerobatic maneuvers, the big old barnstormer's loop performed for the first time back in 1913. Formation flying is a skilled art demanding discipline and trust. Formation flying designed to allow a group of aircraft to operate in close proximity to one another with a high degree of safety. In order to deconflict and ensure this safety, the aircraft joining on or flying off one another must have separation in all three axes. And during this performance today, Warbird Thunder's display will consist of only around 3 to 4 feet of separation between these nearly 3-ton World War II trainers. And now from the left, we watch as the smoke comes back on. For their next maneuver, one that is part loop and one that is part roll. It's the big barrel roll, a maneuver flown since the 1930s as the cornerstone of military flight training. During the 1940s, military aviators had a couple of different nicknames for the SNJ. Often called the pilot maker, it trained thousands of American airmen during World War II. The Army Air Corps and the Air Force called it the Texan, the AT-6. The Navy, the SNJ, and the British Commonwealth countries, they called it the Harvard because it was indeed that the level of higher learning. These two aircraft that we're seeing are manufactured by the North American Aviation Company back in Inglewood, California in the early 40s. Over 15,000 or so have been produced during that time, between 1935 and the mid-1950s. To the right, the formation has changed as Mike Buick Eberhardt in number 2 has transitioned into the close flail formation. Watch them as they roll over to the left in this aileron roll maneuver. It takes a great deal of precision and trust as the wingman is usually locked onto the leader's aircraft. The United States phased out the military service by about countless foreign air arms continued to fly the type. At least 3 nations worldwide operated the aircraft, mostly in a training role, but occasionally in a light attack or fighter platform role. The last Texan retired in 1995, the South African Air Force, after an incredible 60 years of military service. We're going to see now their next maneuver that is called the line abreast loop. The wingman on the right, that's Mike Eberhardt, and he's going to have his sole focus on the leader's aircraft and will do his best to stay perfectly aligned while staying synchronized on the leader throughout this full 360-degree loop maneuver. This is by far one of the most challenging formation maneuvers to fly and to fly well. How about a big round of applause for the very challenging line abreast loop at Warbird Thunder? The pilots for today's flight include that of Chris C.T. Thomas and Mike Buick Eberhardt. C.T. is in the lead aircraft. He resides from Virginia Beach, Virginia. He's a third-generation aviator and learned to fly when he was just 17 years old. His father, a naval aviator, his flight instructor as well. C.T. learned most of his flight time and earned most of that as an instructor himself, towing banners and also flying charter and freight. He's been flying for over 38 years. Flying number 2 today is Mike Buick Eberhardt. He's from Miami, Florida. He's been flying for more than 45 years. He started his journey at the age of 14 flying gliders and powered aircraft when he was 17. He's a graduate from Daniel Webster College and is a retired naval aviator with 20 years experience flying the A-4 Skyhawk and the mighty F-14 Tomcat. Both CT and Buick are airline captains and instructors for major airlines here in the United States. This next maneuver from the right, dedicated to the men and women of our United States military and those family members who support them. In this tribute, this is Warbird Thunder's Salute to Those Who Serve.
Wow! Hi. Wow.
Setting up high and to the left and right now for another opposing pass. Airspeeds, each of these aircraft just shy of about 200 miles an hour. That's a 400-mile-an-hour closure between the two aircraft as they pass. Paul Gleaton handles Warbird Thunder's maintenance and ground support. He's an FAA licensed airframe and power plant mechanic and also a private pilot. He spent over 30 years as a professional firefighter and paramedic. He was also a member of the Virginia FEMA Task Force 2, responding to natural disasters as an expert in building collapse, confined space, and high-angle rescue. Our thanks to Paul. Warbird Thunder wants to personally thank the entire team here for the invitation to fly for you today, as they are proud to fly and support our military, our veterans, and their families. These SNJ or T6 Texan aircraft. SNJ, in fact, built in 1942 and 1943 respectively, and are over 80 years old. They're equipped with 2 seats with full controls at both pilot stations, and usually in the training environment, the student would sit in the front and the instructor in the back seat. These SNJs had a maximum speed of around 240 miles an hour, with a gross weight of about 5,300 pounds, and is powered, as I mentioned, by the Pratt & Whitney 9-cylinder R1340 radial engine, producing about 600 horsepower. That sound that you're hearing, in fact, not so much the engine, but rather the propeller tips going supersonic at around 2,400 RPM. Completing yet another big formation barrel roll at show center. Another nice round of applause, if you would, ladies and gentlemen, for Warbird Thunder, Chris Thomas and Mike Eberhardt. Warbird Thunder appreciates your support on social media, where you can see some great pictures, watch an exciting in-flight video, and see behind the scenes of what it takes to make an airshow team fly. You can also check them out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Warbird Thunder. The team is now going to climb high and to the right to set up for their last and final pass. So be sure to get your cameras out and at the ready. This will be your final opportunity to capture the World War II trailers on your cameras here today. For their last and final pass from the right, ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Chris C.T. Thomas and Mike Buick Amberhart. They are Warbird Thunder. We were talking a little bit earlier today in our show about that Airshow smoke system that we're seeing with Nick Hammond and the Ghost Rider and Warbird Thunder. They use a very similar way of making it happen.